Let me tell you about crucial conversations and the tools that the book covers. These are practical skills that help conversations stay productive when emotions are high. A crucial conversation is any conversation where stakes are high, opinions differ, and emotions run strong. When all of these are present at the same time, communication becomes harder because our nervous systems are activated. That's why skills matter most here, not just when things are calm. These conversations show up everywhere at work, in families, in communities, and how we handle them shapes trust, outcomes, and relationships. Crucial conversations isn't just communication training, it's emotional self leadership. It's the ability to stay grounded, self aware, and intentional when pressure is high. The skills we're learning help us lead ourselves first because we can't influence others if we're dysregulated. You can't solve a high stakes problem from a flooded brain. When people feel unsafe, physically, emotionally, psychologically, or socially, their default coping style goes from silence or violence. Silence shows up as withdrawing, avoiding, sugarcoating, or shutting down. It can look calm on the outside, but inside we're holding back meaning, and that shrinks the pool of shared meaning that we're supposed to add to in a productive dialogue. Silence protects us in the short term, but it leads to resentment over time. The second option we perceive is violence. Violence doesn't mean physical harm, usually. It means forcing meaning into the conversation. It can show up as attacking, blaming, controlling, labeling, or dominating the conversation. Violence overwhelms the pool of shared meaning instead of contributing to it. Both silence and violence are coping mechanisms. They're what we do when we don't feel safe because our nervous system is trying to protect us. The key insight here is that dialogue is the third option. We don't have to choose between honesty and kindness. With the right skills, we can speak up and stay respectful and contribute to meaning and maintain connection. The goal of crucial conversations is effective dialogue. It's not a debate or agreement, it's the free flow of meaning between people. When dialogue is working, everyone's perspective can move into the shared space. Not that we all think the same, but just that no one's withholding meaning out of fear or defensiveness. The second element is shared understanding. We don't need shared opinions to move forward, we need shared understanding. When people feel understood, they're far more willing to collaborate, compromise, or change. And the third piece is connection before conclusion. We're often trained to rush toward solutions, but without connection, conclusions don't stick. Connection creates safety, safety creates openness, openness creates better outcomes. So if a conversation feels stuck or heated, it's not because people are unreasonable, it's just because dialogue has broken down and safety needs to be restored. Everything we'll learn next, all the tools, exist to protect this space of dialogue so meaning can flow. Before we talk about what to say, we have to do some pre work, some internal preparation. This is going to make dialogue possible. Clarifying intentions is first. You ask yourself, what do you really want for you, for them, and for the relationship? Conversations go off the rails when our hidden motives is to win, punish, or prove we're right. So we really want to get our intentions clear. The next is mastering our stories. Separate facts from interpretation. Notice how emotions arise from stories and not reality. These stories happen automatically. When something happens, we immediately tell ourselves a story about what it means. We add meanings about assumptions, about intent, character, or motivation. So then the third part is adopting a mindset of curiosity over certainty, replacing I know what's going on, I know what they mean to do, with what might I be missing? What's a more generous interpretation of what I'm seeing? Whereby we might question stories we're making up about the other person's intentions or goals or circumstances. Rather than be victimized or persecuted by the other, we can try on some generous interpretations for size. And we hold both confidence and humility at the same time here. confidence that we can speak honestly and stay present, and humility that our perspective is incomplete and worth testing. When these pieces are in place, clear intention, flexible stories, and a curious mindset, we're no longer entering a conversation to win. We're entering it to understand and to build dialogue. Before we open our mouth, we need to identify the right level of conversation. Content is the immediate issue of the single event of what just happened. Pattern is the repeated behavior over time, the trends, frequency, cycles, things that just keep happening. And the relationship is the deepest level, where trust, respect, emotional safety, and what the pattern means about how we relate. Most conversations fail because we talk about content when the issue is pattern or relationship. If a conversation keeps repeating without a resolution, it's usually because the wrong level is being addressed. The deeper the level, the more care and skill the conversation requires, and the more important pre-work becomes. Tools matter because when emotions rise, logic drops. Safety matters more than being right, and our intention needs to be clear before we push our content onto people. When emotions rise, our body notices danger, whether it's emotional, psychological, or actually physical, or maybe just social. But our body notices with a tight chest, a rapid heart rate, a shallow breath, a raised voice. And these are signs to pause, not push. We're going to talk about how to restore safety because if someone doubts your intent, they don't feel respected or they feel threatened, nothing you say will land the way you mean it to. So we have got to notice if this conversation is safe enough for dialogue to happen right now. And when it's not, we have to make it safe. This is a tool that Crucial Conversations describes, and it has two parts. Mutual purpose and mutual respect. Mutual purpose means we're working towards something together. Mutual respect means both of us feel respected. One of the fastest ways to restore safety is to step out of content and talk about intent. This is where apologies and contrast statements help. Apologies clear up perceived disrespect. Contrast clarifies intent, what you don't mean, so people can hear what you do mean. From there, we use CRIB, the acronym, to shift from positions to shared purpose. Commit to mutual purpose, recognize the purpose behind strategies, invent a mutual purpose, and brainstorm new strategies. CRIB helps turn a tense moment into a collaborative one. Here's an example of how it might sound when you're addressing different cleanliness standards between roommates. Hey, before we get into the dishes, I want to pause for a second. I don't want this to turn into tension between us. I really want our shared space to feel good for both of us. That's committing to mutual purpose. Also, if I sounded annoyed earlier, I'm sorry. That's not how I want to come across. That's an apology to restore respect. I don't mean that you're careless or that you don't respect the space. I do mean that when dishes pile up and common areas stay messy, I start to feel stressed and uncomfortable in our home. There's that contrast of the don't think this and do think this. I'm wondering if leaving things out might be a way of decompressing after a long day or just not wanting to deal with it right away. There's recognizing or brainstorming what their purpose behind their strategy is. I think we both want the apartment to feel livable and relaxed, and we also both want to feel comfortable in our own routines. Inventing mutual purpose. Could we come up with a system that works for both of us? Maybe a simple reset of the kitchen at night or agreeing on what clean enough looks like for shared spaces? That's us brainstorming new strategies. The next tool is State My Path. It's how you can speak so others can hear. So once safety is present, you start with facts, the least controversial, most observable data. Then you explain your story, how you move from those facts to your conclusion. You speak tentatively, using statements like, it seems like, or from my perspective, which makes apparent that the reason you felt a certain way is because of the story you told about what you experienced. And you're inviting others in by asking for their path and listening with curiosity. So when you state the fact, tell your story, and invite them by checking in if you're missing something, there's no accusations, labels, or certainty. You're walking them down your path to action, not forcing them onto it. Once you've shared your path, your job is to explore theirs. This requires sincere curiosity, not preparing your rebuttal. You're listening now, so whatever you say is just to draw out dialogue from them to help you understand their path. AMPP is the acronym. It's essentially an active listening protocol. Ask genuinely, mirror emotions to confirm feelings, paraphrase to check understanding and clarify what they want, and then prime when they're stuck by guessing in good faith. Listening and coming to an understanding of their path casts influence on the situation through empathy, clarification, and a new shared reality through adding to the pool of shared meaning. When exploring their path, we reverse the process we learned earlier. We start with their action and wonder, how might they have felt? What story would make that reaction make sense? What might they have observed? A powerful question here to reduce judgment is, why would a rational, reasonable person see it this way? Dialogue is not the end goal, it's the doorway. Once safety and understanding are restored, we need to move toward action. This means getting specific. Who will do what, by when, and how will we follow up? And not every decision needs to be consensus. Decisions can be made by command, consultation, vote, or just a full agreement. But what matters most is clarity, that everyone knows how the decision is being made. Dialogue makes action sustainable because people feel heard, even when they don't get their way. Stay grounded. It does not mean tolerating harm. Crucial conversations is not about accepting abuse. If someone is yelling, demeaning, or unsafe, it's appropriate to pause or step away. A temporary pause for self-care is not silence. Remember that the silence, violence, false choice were allowed. Even so, we are allowed to step back in service of dialogue. At the same time, staying grounded means working toward dialogue without sacrificing your purpose or intent. You don't abandon what matters to you. You learn to express it skillfully. And finally, this is a practice. No one does this perfectly. Each conversation is another rep. To close here, there are 4 big takeaways from today. First, safety is the foundation. Without mutual purpose and respect, dialogue collapses. Second, state your path clearly and humbly. Facts, story, invitation. Third, the real influence begins with understanding the other person's path, not correcting it. Fourth, stay grounded, protect yourself, keep your purpose, and practice. The biggest mistake isn't handling these conversations poorly, because we can always learn from that. But the biggest mistake is not realizing that you're in a crucial conversation. Handling these tough conversations are learned skills, and these skills can improve your relationships. I hope you benefited from this video. Thank you.